So Sonic 4 was... No, wait, look, hold on. I get it. This is a terrible game. And if you hate it, great, you should. Everybody knows it has nothing to do with these games, nothing works how you want it to, and it plays like a mobile game because it is a mobile game. And even when you combine it with this, Episode 2 is just more of the same thing, but somehow still worse. If you're a Sonic fan, it makes sense if you think Sonic 4 is the worst game ever made. But what if you're not a Sonic fan? There's no way these people actually played the game, because Sonic 4, this Sonic 4, was reviewed better than Sonic Frontiers, and even better than Generations. And look, I'll be the first to tell you that I didn't really like either of these games, but there's still no way that this is more fun than this. So because critics clearly don't know what they're talking about, now I need to debunk all the lies they've been spreading for the last 15 years. Starting with the biggest one, that review scores actually mean something. As soon as people started putting numbers to their experiences, not only could people pay for better reviews, but reviewers themselves will do anything it takes just to get people to pay attention. And even if you do find someone who isn't bought out or isn't just clickbaiting you, the kind of games they like might not be the kind of games you like, which means in this case, it's completely okay to ignore all the positive reviews and only listen to the people that agree with you. Sega never told us Sonic 4 was going to be an all-new 2D adventure built from the ground up. And I wouldn't have a problem with the game being so short if they would have just told us up front it was going to be a low-budget, download-only title split into multiple episodes. But this was supposed to be the big return to the classic gameplay. There was no way to know that instead of getting this, we were actually going to get some ugly 3D Sonic, and that was all we were going to get. They didn't even tell us we'd be playing in Green Hill Zone. Again. And the worst part is, if the reused assets weren't bad enough, because of Sonic 4, other series started having bad sequels too.
Sorry, my fault.
When you have the perfect series that always pleases absolutely everyone, what you should do is exactly the same thing. Not this. Good games do the same thing every single time. But changing up the art style and ruining what made the game great in the first place still isn't as bad as Sonic 4, because at least this is titled like a spin-off, and it wasn't trying to retcon already established lore. There's never been any other video game series that had a sequel pretending to be a prequel that forced you to play with ridiculous gimmicks. And even if a numbered sequel changed it up way too much, if people didn't like it, the next game would obviously just remove those changes. This isn't like Grand Theft Auto, where they took a 2D series, made a 3D sequel, but it was actually good, so they kept the series in 3D. This was a 2D series that went 3D, and then had a separate series based on the 2D games, but brought in mechanics from the 3D games. And even if you didn't like these games, Mario Galaxy was still right around the corner. But with Sonic 4, there was nothing else coming out if you didn't like Sonic 4. All these changes could have been permanent, and part of what makes this game so awful is because it's just so different from what I wanted. I wanted a spin dash that would go on forever as long as I'm moving. Sonic 4's spin dash only speeds you up for a second and then slows down. And even though the air dash can be combined with another air dash and you can stack these infinitely for uncapped speed, which is kinda better than a spin dash anyway because you don't need to wait for a big ramp to go fast, I just want to press a button and let the game play itself for a while. And even though I can just jump out of a spin dash to maintain my speed, anywhere I'm supposed to use the spin dash, the game will just do it for me and there are better options for building speed in the first place, I want to use the spin dash anyway.
Are you stupid or something?
Because every Sonic game has a spin dash, and Sonic 4 is the only Sonic game to change how the spin dash works. Numbered sequels never change key mechanics of the series. You can't just make a sequel that's an entirely different game and rename it just so people buy it. If the game is punishing me for spin dashing wrong, the spin dash itself is wrong. Because I don't want to play how the game wants me to play. I want to play how I want to play. When I go off a ramp at top speed, I don't want to know where I'm landing unless I've memorized the entire stage and have built up the muscle memory. Sonic 4 decided to reduce your horizontal airspeed so you can easily predict where you're going to land. It's not about making the game fair or making it easy enough for iPad kids. Sonic Team just wanted to make a bad game because they hate the fans. Because in good Sonic games, when you walk off a ledge or fly off a ramp, there's nothing you can do. Sonic 4 lets you cancel all of your vertical momentum and boost forward. Now if you're falling onto spikes, you can just catch yourself. Or if you need a precise jump, you can just push yourself in instead of trying to line up the perfect angle. You don't even need to slide anymore when Sonic 4 just lets you boost in the opposite direction to turn around. Obviously, it also works as a homing attack when you're in range, but in this game, homing attacks are just for navigation and looking cool. These games also only use homing attacks for navigation and looking cool, but these games are good, so it doesn't matter. And you might think having a falling action is useful, which is why Frontiers added it, but Sonic 4 actually took that idea from Sonic Advance, which means only good games are allowed to reference other games. Even if these levels are literally named different things, introduce new mechanics, and would be totally unrecognizable from the source material, this is nostalgia, happy face, and this is nostalgia, frowny face. Even when a whole act is almost a one-to-one recreation of the original, it's fine because this game is good. But even when the first act looks different from the source material, and plays different from the source material, I would rather kill myself because you can't give this a pass. Don't act like this is the best for a Sonic game, and don't settle for absolute mediocrity. This game was full price, made by Sonic Team, for modern hardware. And it still feels like this game was just a tech demo only released for casual fans or little kids before a bigger game came out later that year. Not only was the game unfinished, but they didn't even program a stage order. No other game has ever forced you to pick when you play every level. In most games, having choices is completely fine because it makes the game replayable, but Sonic games are supposed to be level by level in the same order every single time. And even though nothing is stopping me from starting here and ending here, the game should just tell me where to go and what to do. I could use this chance to start with the harder levels so I can get the easy Chaos Emeralds first and then use the easier stages to get the harder Emeralds, but as a Sonic fan, I know the order these stages are supposed to be in. And even though the game literally gives me a button to play this way, Sega doesn't reward me for playing this way. Even if Sonic 4 really was just a cheap tech demo, a spin-off for a niche audience, and really just a small and skippable footnote for the franchise because a way better game came out a month later, Mario would never do something like this. And I'm just so sick of Sega putting out bad games, breaking into my house, holding a gun to my head, forcing me to destroy my Sonic Adventures, all my Sonic Adventures, and pre-order the digital deluxe edition of a game that I don't even want to play. Shadow the Hedgehog literally kidnapped my dog, but Sonic fans blame me for not playing the game right, when really the game is just objectively bad. And if you disagree with me, you're the problem.
And in case you didn't know, that was sarcasm.